messed up when a masked figure suddenly steps out in front of them and calmly announces that he's the one who borrowed Yang Min's name. Yang Min starts sweating and demands to know who the guy is and whether they've ever met before. In response, the masked figure slowly reveals a massive scythe, the kind no normal person just carries around for fun. Lost Yark stares at the weapon and wonders if this means the guy in front of them is Black Scythe, but then quickly shakes off the idea because the guy looks way too short and skinny, nothing like what he had pictured. On the other hand, Yang Min begins to feel his legs wobble under him since even though the guy looks different on the outside, something about the vibe he gives off and the way he speaks feels eerily familiar. He locks eyes with him and instantly recognizes them, and wonders why Black Scythe stands right there and why he even used Yang Min's personal information to begin with. He realizes if the guy still holds a grudge, and his sudden appearance here doesn't exactly scream good news. Lost Yark notices Yang Min trembling and begins to reconsider, now thinking that this person might actually be the real deal. He quickly reminds himself that his own level caps out at 20, and there's zero chance he could take on Black Scythe in a fight. But before he can overthink it, the masked man speaks up. Black Scythe states that he knows the guy didn't show up there alone, and tells him to call out the others as well. That statement throws them off completely, and both the executive and the chairman quietly step out of hiding. One of them asks how he knew they were there in the first place, but the masked figure doesn't respond to that, and instead warns them to stay right where they are unless they want to lose their heads. The executive scoffs and says that the guy's got a lot of nerve for someone that size, though the chairman shuts him up before he says anything more reckless. The chairman repeats the question, wanting to know if he really is Black Scythe, and the masked figure answers by raising the giant scythe again. Still not fully convinced, the chairman insists that he's never seen the weapon before, so it proves nothing to him. Our boy replies that there's no point in asking if he's not even going to believe it, but the chairman insists one more time that he wants to hear the truth from his own mouth. At last, the masked man confirms it himself, saying that there is no doubt he is Black Scythe, and a pop-up screen for the Rune of Truth flashes right in front of the chairman, which clearly states that his target is telling the truth. He relays this to the others, and the entire group quickly realizes that they've backed themselves into something much more dangerous than expected. The brown-haired executive begins to shake like he just saw his own browser history, now regretting everything he said about the guy's height. He considers falling to his knees and begging for forgiveness, but wonders if the insult even registered, since Black Scythe hasn't reacted yet. The man tries to switch gears and go for a formal introduction, but our boy shuts it down and tells them to check once again if he really is Black Scythe. The guy panics and just blurts out apologies for what he said, but our boy keeps pushing and insists that they verify his identity once more. The chairman nervously explains that they already confirmed it with the Rune of Truth, though he doesn't get far before Black Scythe interrupts again, saying that he'll let them off the hook if they can block his next attack. The brown-haired executive now begs for mercy, but before anyone can even blink, his head goes flying across the room like a soccer ball. Lost Yark stares in horror, barely able to process the speed of the strike, and cries out in shock, demanding to know why this just happened. Our boy shrugs without a care and says he simply offered proof. That moment makes Lost Yark realize something chilling, that though they came here hoping to recruit Black Scythe into their executive team, they might have no choice but to eliminate him instead, because there's no way to keep a monster like this on their side. But since our guy clearly outclasses them, Lost Yark now plans to act like they surrender, and then jump him when he drops his guard to land the finishing blow. Black Scythe reads him like a public billboard and calls them out, saying they seriously need to work on hiding their urge to kill him. Even though the chairman looks completely lost, our boy helpfully spells out Lost Yark's little ambush scheme while staring straight at him just to mess with his head. He then goes a step further and explains that he only showed up using a fake identity to get this meeting, which leads Lost Yark to demand a reason. Without blinking, Black Scythe replies that the only reason is that he wants them dead. The chairman panics and figures he needs to defuse the situation somehow and slow things down before they spiral. But before that thought even finishes forming in his brain, Lost Yark lies on the floor drenched in blood. Only then does the chairman begin to realize that this entire setup was a trap from the beginning. Their killer guest never came to negotiate. Rather, he came to wipe them out. He loses it and shouts at Black Scythe, demanding to know what they ever did to deserve this kind of slaughter. Our boy swings his scythe in the chairman's direction and coldly asks what their victims ever did to them before they got executed in the interviews. The chairman begins to shake now, wondering how Black Scythe could even know about something like that. But our guy drops the real bombshell and reveals that the executive interviews go one step further, since the executives kill their targets personally. The chairman fumbles for a way out and tries to justify it by claiming the people they killed weren't innocent. He says they had the nerve to insult them while being clearly inferior, which meant they brought it on themselves. He then tries a bold move and argues that those people were hypocrites anyway. He says that deep down, they all wanted to become just like the executives, so their fake behavior meant they deserved what they got. But Black Scythe flips that entire logic in one line and calls the chairman the real hypocrite. He tells him that while he hands out harsh judgment to others without mercy, he never once reflects on his own mess and keeps sweeping it under the rug like it doesn't count. The chairman snaps back and says that Black Scythe has no idea who he even is, but our guy doesn't pause for a second. He already knows what kind of person he's dealing with, and since he can read the guy's thoughts without much effort, he swings the scythe clean through his neck and sends his head rolling. He looks over at Young Min now and tells him not to be scared, since he's about to reunite with his friends real soon. Young Min stares in disbelief and blurts out a question, wanting to know how this guy could possibly know about his friends. Black Scythe then reveals that he remembers every tiny detail, mostly because those so-called friends never left him alone and constantly dragged him along like he had no choice. That answer throws Young Min off even more, and before he can process it, the masked figure pulls off the cover from his face and reveals his real identity as Min Ryu, the same guy they used to bully like it was a hobby. Young Min freezes at the sight, his mind replaying every time he bullied Min to hand over his money. He tries to understand how someone he always treated as a joke could possibly be Black Scythe. His memory flashes back to the moment when this same person chopped off his limbs in the other world, but even now, a part of him refuses to believe they are the same person. Min notices the hesitation and calls it out, saying it probably feels unreal since just a year ago. Young Min was still busy beating the life out of him without a second thought. Young Min then demands to know why Min had faked being weak all this time. Min replies that it was never a performance, and with zero hesitation, swings his scythe and slices off Young Min's left arm in one clean cut. As Young Min screams in pain, our guy leans in and tells him that he doesn't enjoy being called a loser, especially not by someone this pathetic. He warns him to keep quiet unless he wants his tongue to go missing next. Young Min barely manages to hold in the scream, and Min praises him like he's some obedient little dog. Then, without much effort, he uses his first aid ability to stop the bleeding. Even then, Min reminds him that now he only has one arm left, though it makes no difference since his time's almost up anyway. Young Min asks if he's really the same Min he once knew, and Min responds that the old version of him doesn't exist anymore. While lifting his scythe again, he prepares to finish it. Young Min panics and yells for him to wait, saying that although he bullied him in the past, he actually feels bad about it now and thinks that should count for something. Min raises a brow and asks if he expects that excuse to save him. Young Min insists that killing him wouldn't help and says he could still be useful. When Min asks how exactly that would work, Young Min answers that he's willing to be his servant and promises to obey anything Min asks, even if it means crawling on the ground like a worm. Min stays quiet for a moment, then replies that the plan won't fly, because Young Min already looks like he's waiting for the first chance to stab him in the back. Young Min starts to sweat heavily and asks with a shaky voice why he would ever do something like that. Min doesn't say much but delivers one cold bar. The dog that bites the hand that feeds it ends up dead. With that, he locks eyes with Young Min, sees right through every thought of his, and tells him that he has no further use for someone like him. Before Young Min can plead again, Min swings his scythe and sends his head flying, ending it without a second thought. As the body drops to the ground with a thud, Min recalls how in his past life without the rune of thoughts, he actually gave Young Min another chance. He remembers that the guy promised loyalty, but ended up stabbing him in the back right on the battlefield. This time, there are no second chances. He mutters a cold goodbye and feels relieved knowing he won't have to lay eyes on that awful face ever again. He activates his erase trace ability and wipes every last bit of evidence from the scene. Now that the mess is cleaned up, he sets his sights on moving into Young Min's house. Meanwhile, Yami logs into the PCW executive meeting chat room and greets whoever's present, expecting the meeting with Black Scythe to have wrapped up by now. She glances around and wonders why no one else has shown up. The other executive responds and drops the bomb that all the others got wiped out during the interview. That piece of news stuns Yami, and before she can even ask who pulled it off, her gut makes the obvious connection. The executive confirms it was Black Scythe without blinking and tells her that he's now out there, hunting down the rest of the team. Yami immediately asks about the remaining teammates, only to hear that both of them are dead too. Her face twists in disbelief as she tries to understand what they could have done to deserve this. The executive explains that there probably wasn't a solid reason, and figures Black Scythe either did it for amusement or didn't vibe with their plan to build an organization. She falls silent and lets that sink in, though her thoughts race. She knows some people just can't stand to see others succeed, and maybe he wanted to ruin things out of spite. Either way, one thing becomes crystal clear is that they need to eliminate him. She lets out a sigh and then asks if the guy tricked them from the start by pretending to want to join. The executive nods without hesitation. Yami groans as she grabs at her hair in frustration and mutters that she had actually looked forward to meeting the guy. She never imagined he'd turn out to be some psychotic killer. On the flip side, she realizes that not letting him into their executive circle might have saved their lives, and the executive agrees with that completely. He reminds her that Black Scythe now stands as their official enemy, and it's their duty to take revenge for the others who got wiped out. But Yami raises a valid point, that whether this time it wasn't the real black scythe either. Just then, the executive drops a surprise and says they actually have an eyewitness. He turns toward the screen and asks Lost Yark to come forward and explain exactly what happened during the encounter. At the end of the meeting, the chairman says his goodbyes and leaves the chat first. Shortly after, Yamti tells everyone that they should rest after everything that happened today, then calmly ends the meeting as well. Once the virtual room empties and no one else remains, our hero finally lets out a long sigh of relief, glad that no one noticed anything strange, and slowly takes off his mask. Min Ryu had chosen the assassin's mask as his reward from the 5th round Thai attack. He specifically needed a unique item, and the mask was the best possible choice because of its terrifying effect. It allows the wearer to take on the appearance of a killed player, perfectly copying their face, skin tone, voice, and even body shape without leaving any flaws. For our hero, being able to assume the identity of a fallen player is an overwhelming advantage, because nothing is more lethal than an assassination carried out by someone the target believes to be an ally. Naturally, our hero wants to kill the chairman one day and disguise himself as him. However, that plan immediately hits a wall, because the assassin's mask does not work on non-players, and the chairman is not a player at all. The irony of the head of an organization made entirely of players being a non-player himself is not lost on Min Ryu. On top of that, Yamti remains extremely close to the chairman, and in his current condition, our hero has no reliable way to counter her abilities. Because of this, avoiding direct contact with the executives is the safest option until he can find an effective countermeasure. For now, Min Ryu has no choice but to continue playing Lost Yak's role through video meetings, maintaining distance while carefully observing the situation. He feels confident that no one will try to investigate Lost Yak's whereabouts until the next meeting, which gives him some breathing room. As his thoughts settle, he begins planning to restore the durability of the Eternal Rest Orb before that time arrives. With everything considered, he decides that an overseas trip is the best course of action. Meanwhile, far away in the Cotswolds of England, a blacksmith works quietly on several unfinished blades inside a small workshop. After completing his task, he sighs deeply in exhaustion and frustration, wondering what the point is of crafting weapons that no one even buys anymore. Ever since the angels appeared, customers have steadily disappeared, and although Russell has managed to survive until now, he has finally reached his limit. His account balance has dropped to 0, and for the first time, he seriously considers whether he should abandon blacksmithing and look for a different job. Yet blacksmithing was Russell's lifelong dream, something he had devoted himself to long before the system appeared. As he struggles with his thoughts, he suddenly remembers that his wish will be granted if he clears up to round 20. Realizing that this is his chance, he understands that he cannot give up now. With renewed determination, Russell decides that he will clear the rounds and earn his wish, no matter what it takes. Even in this other world, Russell ends up as a blacksmith. Although it is not a combat-oriented profession, he has managed to survive using it. Upon reaching level 20, he will gain the weapon sharpening skill, which increases a weapon's attack power by 150%. Just imagining that future skill excites him greatly. However, that excitement quickly fades when reality sets in, because money is still the biggest problem. Russell does not even have enough funds to buy proper materials. In the end, he decides to take a break, save up some money, and return to his hut later to continue blacksmithing as a hobby once things stabilize. At that exact moment, our hero enters the shop, calmly claiming that he has finally found the right person. Russell looks at the stranger in confusion, wondering if he has heard of him before, but our hero simply replies that he has seen it. Min Ryu introduces himself as a prophet, someone who can see the future. Russell immediately refuses to believe such a ridiculous claim, but our hero follows up by accurately listing Russell's job, level, and even his region name without hesitation. Completely shocked, Russell starts to believe him, even though he has never heard of a prophet class before. Min Ryu explains that it is a unique class, and that only one person in the entire world can possess it. Still confused, Russell asks why someone so extraordinary would bother visiting a small, failing blacksmith shop like his. Our hero explains that he has come to make a deal and asks Russell to repair a weapon in exchange for valuable information. He clearly states that the information concerns round 6. The moment Russell hears that, his attention sharpens immediately. Knowing the details of the next round in advance would drastically improve his chances of clearing it. Even so, he knows that repairing a single item is far too small a price for such knowledge. He carefully confirms whether the stranger truly wants nothing more than restoring the weapon's durability. Min Ryu finds Russell's honest reaction exactly as he had foreseen and calmly tells him that his true goal is to get closer to him. Russell is completely caught off guard by this statement. Our hero then explains that he has seen Russell's future clearly. Russell reaches the peak of blacksmithing and survives up to round 15 entirely through his own efforts, without anyone's help. However, that is where his future abruptly ends. He has no path beyond that point. Our protagonist tells Russell that if he chooses to join him, he will not only grow much faster, but also break past round 15 and continue chasing his dream of becoming a legendary blacksmith. Finally, Russell asks what our hero wants in return for such guidance. Min Ryu simply assures him that he is not asking for anything excessive, only that they help each other and walk the path forward together. Russell was the only blacksmith who survived up to round 15, and Min Ryu knows that staying on good terms with someone like him will be helpful in the long run. He can see Russell struggling to make a decision. Our hero assures the blacksmith that all he is asking for is that Russell fix his equipment when needed, and use a few skills on him in exchange for information about the next round. This way, Russell can gain advantages he would normally miss and grow stronger much faster. Russell knows that it is a good offer, but he still wonders whether he should trust this person. He feels that Min Ryu seems honest, yet he chooses to remain cautious. Appreciating his customer's offer, he asks for time to decide whether to continue trading after seeing the results of round 6. He offers to fix the item first, after which our hero can provide the information. Our hero hands over his beads of eternal rest, which have only 1 durability left. Russell casts a spell on the beads and restores them instantly. Min Ryu feels relieved when he sees the durability fully restored. Russell does not know what kind of necklace it is, but he can tell that it must be valuable if his customer is willing to repair it just to keep using it. Our hero guesses that the blacksmith does not know what the item is used for and thanks him for restoring its durability. He then fulfills his end of the deal and tells Russell about round 6. After hearing the information, Russell realizes that he will need strong allies for the next round. He tells his customer that their deal ends there for now, but our hero then asks to buy black iron powder from him. Russell is shocked that Min Ryu knows he has black iron powder, and his surprise grows when he realizes that our hero also knows he needs more work to cover material costs. At that point, Russell fully believes that his customer truly is a prophet and apologizes for doubting him earlier. He agrees to give Min Ryu the black iron powder for free, believing that he has already received enough and not wanting to be shameless by taking more. Our protagonist is surprised that the blacksmith is willing to give away such a rare item. Black iron powder is a material used for god-grade items, and seeing Russell give it away makes our hero realize that he does not know how rare it is before round 11. He asks whether Russell is really sure about giving it away, and Russell replies that he does not even know what it is used for. He feels that it must be important if Min Ryu specifically asked for it, but he does not want to be greedy. Even so, our hero hands him a bag of money, unwilling to take the item for free. Russell is shocked when he sees how much money is inside. With this amount, he can easily cover his material costs without needing another job, but he feels awkward accepting so much. Our hero reassures him that the item is worth that much and tells him not to worry. He then advises Russell to open an overseas account and invest in Korean stocks in a company called Player Place. He assures him that the company will soon boom and that investing in it will ensure he never has to worry about material costs again. Russell agrees to trust the prophet's advice. They exchange numbers, and our hero introduces himself as Mr. Ryu. On June 1st at midnight, the players are teleported into a desert. They are shocked to find themselves dropped into a barren wasteland for the quest. Our hero already knows that round 6 is a cooperation round and that he will need people to work with. His first choice is Minjuri, and although he does not need anyone else, he still requires 3 more people to form a 5-person party. At that moment, Minjuri calls out from behind and catches up with him after not speaking for a while. The surrounding players are surprised to see her casually talking with a rank 1 player, and many feel jealous of her for placing second in the previous round. As Min Ryu and Minjuri talk about the last round, he tells her that he managed to take down the final boss, even though time was tight, and also completed the subquest to collect the Stones of Balance. However, he refuses to tell her what the rewards were, knowing that she is about to ask. Minjuri tells him that she has always thought he had great insight, but immediately gets embarrassed after realizing how cringy it sounded. Our hero assures her that it is fine, and thanks her for the compliment. At that moment, Sang Cheol and Seo Arin arrive and see our hero having a chat with Minjuri. Seo Arin and Sang Cheol greet our hero. Seo Arin inquires whether the woman standing with him is his companion, but our hero refuses to answer her question. Seeing his blunt response, Seo Arin becomes visibly upset. Our hero then wonders whether they came to talk about something, already knowing that they approached him because the prophet told them to form a party with Black Scythe. Sang Cheol urges Black Scythe that they want to form a party with him. They admit that they will probably slow him down, but promise that they will do their best regardless. Our protagonist pretends to consider their request, even though, in reality, they are only filling numbers. Still, he believes that accepting them would make Ma Kyunggrok think more highly of him. Sang Cheol then offers to exchange information about round 6 in return for joining the party. Our protagonist decides to toy with him and refuses the offer outright. He says that he prefers clearing rounds his own way and does not rely on untrustworthy information. He then asks about the source of the information, which causes Sang Cheol to hesitate. This reaction makes our hero feel impressed that Sang Cheol refuses to reveal the informant even if it means losing the chance to join the party, and because of this, he decides to accept them. Sang Cheol is confused by the sudden change, but Min Ryu explains that keeping the source secret makes him trustworthy, and that Black Scythe dislikes people who cannot keep secrets. Instantly, Sang Cheol sighs in relief for not mentioning the prophet and thanks Black Scythe for allowing them to join. Min Ryu then introduces Min Juri, explaining that she is a buffer currently under contract with him. Seo Arin introduces herself next, and Min Juri immediately starts fangirling after realizing that she is the actress Seo Arin. Sang Cheol asks whether Black Scythe is really sure about not receiving the information about Round 6, and our hero replies that he does not want to owe anyone. Sang Cheol had wanted to repay him with information, but after Min Ryu refuses, he decides that he will simply provide tips if anything goes off track. Sang Cheol then asks Min Juri about her buffer class. She explains that she specializes in casting stat buffs, and that she will apply them to everyone later. Seo Arin adds that she has something similar, mentioning that she has a summoned fairy that provides shields. Sang Cheol introduces himself properly and tells Min Juri that Black Scythe once saved their lives. At that moment, the messenger flies in and greets the players. After mentioning the total number of participants, she immediately gets to the point and announces that the round requires defeating one boss within 6 hours. The players are upset at the idea of fighting a boss on their own, but the messenger reveals that it is impossible to defeat the boss solo. She explains that they must fight together and that a party system has been prepared specifically for this round. Once players form a party, they become allies and can no longer damage one another. The players feel relieved knowing they do not have to worry about betrayal, though the messenger clarifies that attacks from other parties will still function and that only allied attacks are nullified. Regarding rewards, experience points and gold are evenly shared among party members, regardless of who lands the final hit, as long as they remain within 100 meters of each other. If they move farther apart than that distance, rewards will not be shared. Item drops are determined by contribution percentage, but even players with low contribution still have a chance to obtain items. One player asks whether someone with minimal contribution could still receive an item, and the messenger confirms that even a 1% contribution could succeed if luck is on their side. She adds that contribution is calculated based on all actions, explaining that while dealing damage increases it, buffing and support roles are also counted. After explaining the rules, she says that it is simple, announces that there are no sub-quests this time, and leaves. The players feel frustrated that the messenger called the round simple before disappearing. A system notification appears, instructing them to form parties by holding hands and chanting, "Party formation." Anyone who is not in a party will have their quest progress invalidated, and a countdown immediately begins. Sang Cheol feels relieved that he trusted the prophecy and joined Black Scythe's party. However, the group still needs one more member, so they decide to leave the final choice to their powerful leader. Our hero waits quietly for that final person, hoping that he is somewhere nearby. While Black Scythe waits for his chosen person to show up so he can pretend to pick him up at random, everyone else struggles to form a team. Players look around desperately for others to join their parties. Some approach people directly, while others loudly announce their level, hoping someone will take interest. Before long, 2 players decide that joining Black Scythe would be their best option. They walk up to him and ask to join his party, but he tells them to leave. In the past, our hero would have accepted anyone just to fill the numbers, but this round is different. He needs people who can grow alongside him. Even so, he continues to attract attention. Another player asks to join, hoping to fill numbers, and Black Scythe sends him away as well. A girl tries her luck next, but she's rejected too. The watching players grow irritated at how he turns everyone down without even listening, and many envy the people who already managed to join his party. Meanwhile, Sang Cheol wonders who Black Scythe is planning to put in the final slot. He wishes President Ma were there so he could recommend him. Min Juri, on the other hand, wishes Ryu Min were present, knowing he would argue his way into the last spot. At that moment, someone else walks over to greet Black Scythe. Our protagonist feels relieved to see Jo Young-ho still alive, having expected him to drop out during round 5. Jo Young-ho tells him that watching his fight motivated him to finish the hunt quickly and thanks him for it. He then introduces his friend Mankey, who also thanks Black Scythe for healing his shoulder back then. Our hero is impressed that Mankey managed to reach 300 kills with that body, and Mankey thanks him again for it. Jo Young-ho asks Black Scythe if he's looking for party members, and clarifies that he didn't come to join since they've already formed their own party. Judging by the chains around their wrists, our hero already knew that. He asks why they came, and Jo Young-ho explains that he wants to propose an alliance between their parties. He says he isn't interested in items, and even offers to give the boss to Black Scythe because he simply wants to help. When our hero refuses, Jo Young-ho assumes it's because they would get in the way, but Black Scythe explains that he dislikes unnecessary complications. He promises to ask for help if needed, and Jo Young-ho leaves with his party. Sang Cheol urges Black Scythe to decide on their final member, and our hero replies that he already has. He points toward an awkward-looking hooded man and asks him to come over. He questions why the man has been watching them for a while, and the man admits that he wanted to join Black Scythe's party. He reveals that he's a level 23 dark mage, and our hero accepts him into the final slot. Everyone is shocked to see Black Scythe choose a seemingly weak player after rejecting so many others. The Dark Mage's nickname is No Pain No Gain. One day, he will become the founder of a religion that worships Black Scythe as a god. He will be our hero's follower, and forming that bond early will be useful. As everyone joins hands to form the party, the Dark Mage can hardly believe that Black Scythe chose him. Since his first year of high school, Heo Tae-seok had lived as an errand boy for bullies. They would gang up on him for no reason at all, sometimes just for standing nearby. They bullied him simply because he was easy prey. They extorted him for money, and when he told them he didn't have any because he lived with his grandmother, they ordered him to steal or do whatever it took to bring money every day. They even threatened to bury him with his grandma if he failed. Overwhelmed by anger, Heo Tae-seok once lunged at them, only to end up beaten and lying helpless on the floor. Heo Tae-seok wanted to die, thinking it would be easier that way. But he worried about his grandmother, who suffered because of him, and he promised himself that he would earn money and give her a better life. Holding on to that resolve, he endured for years. Just when he finally saw a future ahead, the angels appeared. The great cataclysm began, and instead of spoiling her, he couldn't even find a proper job. By the end of round 2, Tae-seok returned home to see his bullies dragging his grandmother around. Enraged, he attacked them with black arrows. The bullies screamed in pain, shocked to see that he had changed classes. From that day on, Tae-seok isolated himself. He began to stutter and decided that he would clear the final round and use his wish to save his grandmother. He cleared round 3, and ever since changing classes, he never missed first place in his zone, though there was always another stat left to raise. When Tae-seok saw Black Scythe defeat all 9 zone representatives in an instant, he was deeply impressed. He wished he were that strong so he could protect his grandmother. Curious about how Black Scythe became so powerful, he longed to meet him at least once. Our hero asks his new party member to introduce himself. Tae-seok tells everyone that he's a level 23 Dark Mage whose skills are Black Arrow and Black Chains. Only then does he realize that he didn't stutter at all. He's surprised that he doesn't feel nervous either, and wonders if it's because he wants to make a good impression on Black Scythe. The party begins their hunt, and Minjuri casts her buffs on everyone. She starts with Sang Cheol, increasing all his stats by 60%. She then boosts Seo Aaron's attack and movement speed by the same amount. Everyone immediately understands why Black Scythe chose to keep Minjuri after witnessing her overwhelming support abilities. Seo Aaron then summons her creatures and explains that her fairies used to only provide shields with no combat ability, but after reaching level 20, she could summon 2, and they began using attack magic. She also summons her golem, explaining that it simply draws monster aggression. Seo Aaron looks to Black Scythe for approval, but he merely tells everyone to move out. Tae-seok watches their abilities in awe and realizes that he needs to contribute as well. As our hero and his party continue forward, they're surprised to find another party already engaged with the boss. Excited at having found it so early, the players rush in to attack. However, once the boss begins fighting back, they realize just how powerful it is and scramble to adjust their strategy. Pink Princess flanks behind the horse to strike but gets kicked away instantly. In response, everyone attacks at once and defeats the horse in a single moment. Watching the boss collapse, the Dark Mage is left stunned that first place was stolen right before his eyes. As the other party celebrates their win, Tae-seok can't believe he just lost first place. He thinks Black Scythe must be disappointed, but realizes that our hero is looking too calm. Everyone in the other party waits for the quest completed message, but it doesn't pop up. Only then everyone realizes the centaur they killed wasn't a boss. The real boss of the quest is a bull-headed minotaur, and to beat him, they need at least 20 level 20 players, which means at least 4 5-man parties are needed to stand a chance. Black Scythe knows that the trap of this round was that it was designed to look like a 5-man party could beat a boss. He remembers the angel saying that killing the boss clears the round, and realizes that they never said 5 people could actually defeat a boss. However, our hero can't go on ranting about the quest. Except for Tae-seok, who doesn't know about the prophecy, everyone else looks calm, and our hero decides to do some acting. He pretends to realize now that the centaur wasn't the boss, and the real boss must be somewhere else. He tells everyone that the plan is to put the boss aside and farm the centaurs to level up until the time runs out. Everyone's confused, and then Black Scythe explains that it took 5 of level 20 players to barely kill 1 centaur, and if that's just a mob, then the real boss must need at least 3 or 4 teams to beat. Since they don't know how strong the boss is, it would be stupid to rush to it. Secondly, even if they kill the boss early, they might get stuck in a pillar of light and they'd just waste their time, so hunting the boss first seems like the right choice. Sang Cheon is impressed by their leader's insight and his ability to figure out the strategy without knowing the prophecy. No Pain No Gain asks if he's okay with losing first place, and our hero explains that the XP from hunting for 6 hours would be enough, and who kills the boss first might not even be the measure for first place. Sang Cheol is even more impressed seeing him come up with the right strategy again. Co Aaron suggests coming up with a strategy to hunt monsters, but our hero tells them that he'll just hunt alone. Co Aaron is surprised that Black Scythe is going to fight alone a monster that takes a full 5-man party to beat, but the Dark Mage believes in his leader's power. Our hero tells everyone to just follow him and take the exp and gold while he kills the monsters. However, all the items gained through contribution go to Black Scythe, and in return, the others get the exp and gold without any risk. Everyone agrees with their leader's plan, and he assures them that they won't regret their choice. Our protagonist takes his scythe and starts running to hunt. Everyone watching him is amazed by his agility, and the Black Mage, who thought he was fast, now realizes that Black Scythe is faster. Suddenly he sees our hero up against a monster and shifts everyone's attention to him. Black Scythe jumps at the monster and slays him in one move, leaving everyone shocked. Our protagonist continues running through the field. A centaur jumps in front of him. He leaps past the centaur and cuts him down with his scythe. He continues slaying the centaurs as they appear. In 30 minutes, Black Scythe manages to kill 170 monsters. In the field, there are 2,000 centaurs, and he might end up taking them all within 6 hours. After a while of hunting, Black Scythe's teammates start to get tired and struggle to keep up. He tells them to catch a break if they're tired, and everyone drops to the ground, catching their breath. Min compliments his hunting speed, and the Dark Mage feels that their leader is working harder than them. Right then, someone else walks into the field while our party is catching a break. A player pretends to have casually run into Black Scythe, and our hero immediately orders him to get straight to the point. The player asks him to join their boss hunt. When our hero refuses, the player insists that the boss is extremely difficult. He points toward a minotaur in the distance and explains that another team attempted to fight it, but was completely wiped out. Realizing that multiple parties are needed, he tries again to persuade Black Scythe. Our hero refuses once more, even when the player offers to let him land the final blow. Telling him not to make him repeat himself, our hero sends the player away, and the man quickly retreats. The player returns to his team and reports that convincing Black Scythe was a failure. They wonder why he refused when he has to defeat the boss as well, and decide to try fighting it themselves. As they approach the Minotaur, its massive size makes them doubt their chances. The Minotaur turns toward the attackers, and the fight begins. From a distance, our hero observes the battle, measuring how long it takes to bring the boss down. The Minotaur isn't particularly difficult to kill. It moves slowly, making its attacks easy to read and dodge. Its hide is thick, however, making it hard to damage. But once a vital spot is struck, the Minotaur can't endure for long. As the fighters land several blows, they realize just how tough its skin is. They continue dodging and attacking. One of them throws his axe, striking the Minotaur, while others follow up with fire attacks, finally killing it. Cheers erupt as the boss falls, and the quest completion message appears. Everyone celebrates in excitement. However, the boss must be defeated again. The party that landed the final blow becomes locked inside a pillar of light. Those who have cleared the quest must remain inside until the time runs out, while the remaining players need to find another party. They glance toward Black Scythe, but give up immediately, knowing he won't join them. Meanwhile, our protagonist feels relieved that he didn't waste time killing the boss early, and returns to hunting centaurs. The party trapped in the pillar wonders what rank they finished at. While resting, they watch our hero take down a centaur in a single shot. Everyone is amazed by his strength, but confused about why he's farming centaurs instead of fighting the boss. One of them realizes that if Black Scythe killed the boss now, he would place below 50, meaning he's deliberately farming points. Confident in their misunderstanding, they believe they've beaten Black Scythe for first place. After some time, our hero finishes clearing all the centaurs in the area. His team asks for a short break, and he allows it, knowing that all that remains is defeating the boss. Minjuri is surprised to hear that the hunt is already over. Black Scythe reassures her that he used his tracking skill, and confirmed that there aren't any centaurs left. At that moment, Sang Cheol tells everyone to check their levels. Everyone is shocked by the massive jump. Sang Cheol and Seo Arin both go from level 20 to 34. Minjuri rises from 21 to 35, and the Dark Mage jumps from 23 to 36. Our hero realizes that everyone gained 13 to 14 levels. He himself goes from 40 to 50 and receives a huge number of items, including materials used to craft god-grade equipment. Everyone's gold count exceeds 100,000. Sang Cheol doesn't know what to do with so much money, so our hero advises them to buy universal skills from the shop. He recommends skills like presence detection, enhanced reflexes, and basic resistance, and tells them to check today's special items in case anything useful appears. Taeseok starts buying immediately, but Black Scythe stops them and tells everyone to deal with purchases later and kill the boss first. Our protagonist activates his tracking skill and heads straight toward the battlefield. Players immediately surround him, asking him to form a party, but he refuses, stating that he plans to kill the boss alone. Everyone is stunned by his declaration and believes that not even Black Scythe could defeat the boss solo. They accuse him of being too arrogant, but our hero replies that they're underestimating him, because if they can kill it, then so can he. They argue that they needed numbers, but he doesn't believe numbers will help. As our hero tells his team to stay behind and walks toward the boss monster, the surrounding players grow eager to watch. With dozens of eyes on him, Black Scythe would prefer to keep his ultimate skill hidden, but this is the perfect chance to show his true strength. If he demonstrates how quickly he can kill the Minotaur, no one here will ever dare to look down on him again. He takes his stance, and the spectators find his posture strange. However, once the distance becomes close enough for the attack to land, the system begins recording. Since the tie hasn't officially started yet, it still counts as a pre-move. The Minotaur charges toward him and enters range. Our hero calmly counts down to 3 and activates his Knight of Death skill, immediately followed by Moonlight Slash. A ripple of energy surges forward and cleaves the Minotaur's head clean off. As the boss collapses, everyone stares in stunned silence. In that instant, our hero reveals his true strength. After killing the Minotaur, Black Scythe obtains a bull hide and a Minotaur armor blueprint that could sell for a high price. He checks on his party members and notices Taeseok staring at him with a dazed expression. Although the Dark Mage is destined to become his follower someday, our hero decides it's better to maintain some distance for now. Soon after all the bosses are defeated, an angel appears and erases the remaining teams. Players beg to be spared as they're removed, and the angel proceeds to check the rankings. The team that killed the boss first is shocked to discover that they didn't place first, but the angel explains that rankings aren't based on who kills the boss first. They're determined by how long it takes to kill it. She scoffs at their 11 minutes and 30 seconds and expresses admiration that Black Scythe's team cleared the boss in 1 minute. Someone corrects her, and when she checks again, she realizes it wasn't 1 minute, but 1 second. Impressed, she distributes rewards to the top 3 teams and reminds everyone that rewards are given only to those with the highest contribution. The system congratulates our hero for ranking first in both his region and across all regions. He receives a high-grade Epic Helmet Selection ticket as his regional reward and a special reward selection box for placing first globally. The system prompts him to choose one of 3 helmets, and since Black Scythe needs a feathered cap, he selects Hermes' helmet. The helmet grants an invisibility skill. While it doesn't suppress sound, our hero plans to solve that later with a stealth rune. He then chooses from the global reward list. Since he doesn't need gold or information, he selects materials instead. From the available options, he chooses Gold Tier Angel's Golden Dust. Once the rewards are distributed, all players are returned to their physical bodies. Meanwhile, Director Ma hears a knock at his door. When he opens it, he finds Manager An standing outside. Ma already knows that joining Black Scythe's team guarantees rapid level growth, but he's still curious how much his manager has gained to look this excited. He's stunned to learn that An gained 14 levels and asks whether Black Scythe did all the hunting himself. An confirms it, adding that although he took some loot, the level gains alone made it worthwhile. Director Ma is still level 29 and never imagined his manager would surpass him. Realizing that even Seo has overtaken him pushes Ma to reflect on himself. He's amazed to hear that Black Scythe killed centaurs in a single strike, since even their full party couldn't do that. An adds that Black Scythe also killed the boss in 1 strike with a flashing skill that severed its head instantly. Hearing this makes Ma fully realize the gap between them. Dark Knights are powerful, but even they can't compare to Black Scythe. Ma wonders if he'll reach that level after hitting 40 and resolves to focus entirely on leveling up. Feeling grateful to our hero for reigniting his motivation, Director Ma decides to reward him the next time they meet. He plans to ask the Prophet when he'll see Black Scythe again, but An wonders aloud whether the Prophet even survived. Ma immediately orders him to check instead of speculating and asks if he learned the skills he requested. An replies that he mastered both tracking and erasing traces. Ma tells him to head out later and test the skills while cleaning up. An is surprised that his boss is working so late since the sun is nearly up, but Ma reassures him that it's fine because they won't be killing anyone outside. In truth, Ma finds this weather perfect for relieving stress. Meanwhile, Taeseok lies in bed, unable to stop thinking about Black Scythe and his overwhelming power. He believes that our hero is so far beyond him that he can't even look up properly. In Taeseok's mind, Black Scythe is a god, and he desperately wants to repay him somehow. Feeling useless, he wishes he had a class that could truly support our hero. Knowing that he can't help much in this world, he wonders if there's something he can do in the real world instead. Thinking about what a god truly needs, he comes to a realization: devout followers. Meanwhile, our hero wakes up feeling slightly cold. His phone rings with a call from an international number, and when he answers, he hears Russell's voice. Russell thanks him for the information and says he'll explain everything once he arrives in Korea. Our hero is surprised, as this never happened in the previous timeline, and Russell mistakes his silence for offense. The next day, Ryu heads to the airport to welcome his new friend. Russell is eager to talk about many things but decides to hold back for now. When he sees the table filled with food, he's impressed but refuses to eat unless he pays. Our protagonist offers to cover the meal and asks the blacksmith to restore the durability of his item like last time. Russell gladly repairs the Orb of Eternal Rest, though he still feels it's insufficient repayment. He then explains that he hunted for nearly 6 hours as advised before challenging the boss, admitting that without leveling up first, he would have been finished. Russell reveals that he reached level 29 and, feeling embarrassed, asks whether he'll truly become the top blacksmith. Our hero reassures him that success is guaranteed if they work together, and asks whether Russell checked the company he recommended for investment. Russell replies that he immediately opened an account and invested a little more than half of the suggested amount. However, when he asks what the company actually does to become successful, Ryu realizes Russell invested without researching. He decides it's time to properly introduce the company. Standing outside the Player Place building, Russell is impressed by its appearance while still thinking about the money he invested, Ryu's money. Our hero corrects him, saying it's his own money, and asks how he's surviving on the remaining 30%. Learning that Russell is struggling slightly, our protagonist decides to give him 10,000 more later. As they enter the building, Russell wonders whether they're really allowed to walk in unannounced. Ryu assures him it's fine, explaining that it's practically his company even if he isn't the CEO. He mentions that the company recently changed its name and completely transformed its business model. Russell believes that if the profit is fully invested, he doesn't need an introduction, yet he still wants to know what kind of company it is. Our hero assures him it's the kind of business every player would be interested in. Inside, Ryu finds An blocking the door, which makes him wonder if there's a guest inside. An is startled to see Ryu, and our hero explains that he brought a foreign investor and wants to meet the CEO. An asks him to wait, explaining that someone is already inside. Ryu realizes Ma must have forbidden entry and understands they're following orders, but he grows curious about the visitor. An hesitantly reveals that the director's fiancé is inside, and Ryu immediately understands why he was stopped. Ma is surprised to see Ryu, and when our hero calls him out for expecting an appointment, Ma awkwardly claims he explained himself poorly. Ryu knows it wasn't a misunderstanding, and that Ma simply believes prophets have no power beyond foresight. Ma apologizes and assures him he's welcome anytime, explaining that the lack of notice caught him off guard. Our hero then notices Christine Craig, the only unique class priest and a woman who survived up to round 15. Like buffers, priests are considered essential support classes. Their resurrection skill at level 60 is overwhelmingly powerful, reviving players who died within 10 minutes. Even with limitations, an extra life is an enormous advantage. Ryu only approached Ma because of Christine. He didn't expect to encounter her this early, but he knows he must make her an ally and guide her to at least round 20. Ma introduces Christine, and although Ryu already knows she's his fiancée, he introduces himself politely and compliments her beauty. Ma realizes the prophet knows about the engagement and apologizes for lying. Our hero understands the awkwardness but wishes Ma had trusted him more. Ryu wants to share information about the next round with Christine as well. He asks Russell to wait outside and enters the office. Ma introduces him as a business partner, company manager, and a prophet who can see the future. Christine is confused, but our hero assures her it's true and mentions knowing strategies for round 7. Ma adds that not a single one of the prophet's words has been false. Christine wonders why he's revealing everything to her, and Ryu explains that he wants to give her round 7's information freely. Her reaction makes it clear she doesn't trust him yet. He warns them not to be swayed by temptation, but explains he can't say more without harming everyone. He tells them to remember his words like a mantra before adding one more thing. Her life will be in danger in round 11, but she shouldn't worry, because a lifeline will descend to save her. Later, as Christine sits on the plane, she reflects on the conversation. She knows her father would have exploded if he'd heard it. The prophet told her she'd be saved but never said by whom, which makes her doubt him. She wonders if the prophet himself is being deceived, since he only described the surface. Upon landing, she's surprised to see Bishop Deacon waiting. He explains he was ordered to escort her directly back, and they leave together. At Shiningwood Hall, Deacon announces Christine's arrival and lets her into the bishop's office. She tells her father that Ma is doing well and treats her politely, but she doesn't feel any closeness. The Reverend expects feelings to develop after 6 months, but Christine doesn't even consider it dating. He insists that marrying into the Osung group would benefit her, and believes affection will grow in time. Christine feels Ma is hiding something, but her father scolds her for lacking discipline. She mentions Ma preparing a business venture, which the Reverend criticizes as greed, only to be called out for the same behavior by his daughter. He insists her power is divine and blessed by angels, refusing to accept the truth about them. When he asks about Ma's use of the gift, Christine says he ranks 2nd or 3rd in the sector and plans to build a player-based social market with a partner who claims to know the future. She tells him about the prophet's predictions and the round 7 information, but admits she can't trust him. Tempted, the Reverend suggests she get closer to the prophet. Christine objects, saying he keeps predicting her death, calling it a bogus prophecy. Her father warns her that betrayal may come from within her followers, but she reminds him she's the sector representative and well protected. Though he agrees, he urges caution. After Christine leaves, the Reverend calls Jeffrey and tells him about the prophet predicting his daughter's death. If the prophecy proves false, he orders Jeffrey to uncover the truth and vows to make the prophet suffer. Our hero sits down at his computer for another meeting, and the chairman asks whether he has narrowed down the candidates for executive positions. Min Ryu explains that he shortlisted 30 applicants based on their levels and regional rankings, but Black Scythe isn't among them. He also searched for the other players the chairman mentioned, such as Heavenly Demon and Dumb Idiot, but couldn't find any trace of them. The chairman instructs Yamti to proceed with the tests, select 5 candidates who pass, and then moves on to the next topic. They discuss Congressman Lee Sung-hyun, who has been slandering players lately. The chairman decides to deal with him after the executive selections, believing that their true nemesis lies within the legal system, those attempting to control players through legislation. The official Player Place website launches successfully, and as expected, tens of thousands of players log in and begin listing items. Our hero notices how desperate people seem for money, judging by the variety of items being sold. He pulls out his phone and starts sweeping up all the unique materials. Min Ryu selects several materials he can use to craft at least 3 unique items and sets them for delivery. He then searches for magic stones. While some well-known stones are priced at over 2 million won, he finds only low-grade ones but buys every single one available. 2 days later, Min Ryu's friend enters the apartment and finds piles of boxes scattered across the room. Our hero explains that he bought player items from the Player Place market and begins unboxing them. After confirming everything arrived correctly, he starts combining the materials. Beginning with the magic stones, he fuses 16 low-grade stones to create a single top-grade magic stone. He repeats the process several times, producing multiple top-grade stones. Next, Min Ryu integrates the newly created stones into his equipment. He adds 16% damage to his Death Scythe, then enhances Hermes' feather helm with 32 strength points, the Wanderer's ragged clothes with another 32 points, and grants 16 points to all stats on the Ring of Resistance. After completing the upgrades, he checks his stats and finds that all of them exceed 200, even without the Rune of Slaughter or Blessing buffs. With buffs applied, they could soar to 600 or even 900. On top of that, our protagonist equips 7 different top-grade magic stones, activating the rainbow buff effect. This increases his resistance by 50%. When combined with 35% from Java's necklace, 35% from the Ring of Resistance, and 15% from the basic resistance skill, the multiplicative stacking allows him to block status effects with roughly an 82% success rate. At this point, Min Ryu is the only player fully equipped with top-grade magic stones, having bought every one available. While new stones will eventually appear, prices will skyrocket due to shortages, pushing even low-grade stones past 20 million won. He decides to store the remaining unique materials, reasoning that applying them to higher rank gear later to make unique items would be more efficient. He plans to wait until reaching level 60 before combining them, and keeps an eye out for additional unique materials. That's when he suddenly notices a material on the market required to craft a legendary item, and freezes in shock. Regardless of a player's rank, items themselves have 6 tiers. Players can only purchase up to epic grade items from stores. Anything higher must be crafted through combinations. The higher the rank, the harder it is to obtain the required materials. While not impossible, it's extremely difficult. Currently, there's only one place where the immortal skin fragment can drop: the round 5 boss, the High Orc. Even then, the drop chance is slim. Seeing that someone obtained this material means they must have killed the boss, and our hero immediately suspects who it is. He knows this person is strong enough to take down orcs and possesses the Rune of Drop. If the seller truly is him, then the listing is bait, and extremely dangerous bait at that. The direct trade requirement only reinforces the suspicion. Still, Min Ryu decides to test it and messages the seller. He first offers 900,000 won, and when the seller quickly agrees, he pushes further. Pretending to be an innocent newbie, he asks if the price can be lowered to 800,000. The seller agrees out of pity, confirming Min Ryu's suspicion that it's indeed that guy. He sets up the meeting fully aware it's a trap meant to lure victims in. If it really is him, Min Ryu won't let it continue and decides to pay a visit before more people fall prey and before the legendary item disappears. The seller had dragged 20 orc corpses just to summon and defeat the High Orc, nearly dying in the process. Furious that our hero tried to lowball him with an 800,000 won offer, he plans to kill him for the insult. Suddenly, another victim crawls toward him, begging to be spared. The seller mocks the man's desperation, stabs him in the neck, and waits for his next target to arrive. As a child, everything had felt boring to him. Nothing sparked interest, and that emptiness followed him through middle school. Thinking focus might help, he studied as his parents demanded, consistently ranking first in class. But even that became dull, and he abandoned it. His grades fell, and his parents' criticism only grew harsher. When he entered the otherworldly game, however, everything changed. It suited him perfectly. Thanks to the Rune of Drop, he got an excellent start and acquired countless rare items. He also obtained a Shaman class change item, allowing him to switch classes freely, and from round 4 onward, the game became truly enjoyable. He decided that once he cleared all the rounds, he'd wish for more, because the game was simply too fun to end. The seller recalls the countless people he killed and how much he enjoyed it. He had avoided punishment since childhood and continued killing without consequence until the age of 27. Through meticulous planning, he was never caught. If a target somehow survives, he plans to curse them with fear and slowly kill them over time. Suddenly, he hears a noise and assumes his next victim has arrived. Once the target comes close, he'll trigger a corpse explosion boom and blow them apart. At that moment, our hero walks into the alley. The killer eagerly waits for him to step into range, but Ryu stops short and calmly asks if he's selling the undying skin fragment. He calls the seller out from hiding, but the killer keeps waiting, hoping the target will take just a few more steps. Approaching would put him inside the explosion radius, and while he considers using the curse of fear, it feels too dull. Our hero stops one step outside the danger zone, forcing the seller to reveal himself. Seeing his prey hesitate, the killer briefly wonders if his plan has been discovered. Still, he convinces himself there's no way the target knows about the corpse or the explosion skill. Ryu begins insulting him, calling him a fraud and accusing him of scamming people with fake listings. The seller panics as his victim takes control of the situation. Our hero continues berating him, accusing him of defrauding players. Finally, the seller caves and reveals the item. After confirming it's genuine, Ryu smiles and instantly chops off the seller's arm. The killer screams in pain, stunned that his target never stepped forward even once. In the next instant, our hero vanishes and reappears behind him. The killer starts seeing double. Our hero teleports behind him and calmly picks up the item. The killer immediately tries to activate his curse of fear but is shocked when it fails. As Ryu punches him square in the face, the killer is stunned by the sheer strength behind the blow. Our hero continues beating his opponent until he knocks him unconscious. He then heals the killer back up, only to start beating him again. Our protagonist keeps pounding his opponent relentlessly. When the killer's curse of fear finishes recharging, Ryu responds by gouging out his eyes. He coldly remarks that the killer's parents must be disgusted by him. In desperation, the killer draws his knife, but our hero kicks him back down to the ground. With one arm severed and his eyes gone, panic finally sets in. Believing this is the end, the killer suddenly remembers his trap and decides to take his opponent down with him. A massive explosion erupts, drawing people toward the alley. When they arrive, they find police officers blocking the area and claiming it was a gas explosion, keeping everyone at a distance. Meanwhile, Ryu stands inside a nearby building with his opponent. The killer's name is Ju Seong, known by the nickname Dumb Idiots. Like director Ma, he is one of the players competing for second or third place across all zones. No matter how capable Ju Seong may be, our protagonist has no intention of taking a serial killer beyond round 20. Still, he can be used to hunt bosses before then. The rune of drop that Ju Seong possesses is extremely valuable. It increases item drop rates during hunts and boosts special boss drop chances by 10 times. As long as Ju Seong remains alive, he'll continue farming rare materials and listing them on the market. The problem is obvious. He's a murderer, and if Ryu lets him walk free, innocent people will continue to die. Ryu heals his opponent once more. When Ju Seong wakes up, he'll have to face the reality of what's been done to him. Our hero ensured that the killer's limbs couldn't be reattached, guaranteeing he won't be able to harm anyone again. The only body that matters for item drops is the one in the other world, and since Ju Seong never saw his attacker's real face, he can never track him down. After some time, Ju Seong regains consciousness, still dazed, and is shocked that he survived the explosion in the alley. He suddenly remembers that his opponent cut off his arm, but when he looks down, his horror deepens as he realizes his leg is gone as well. He begins cursing our hero until he notices a letter beside him. The letter explains that Ryu didn't sever his leg. He would have killed Ju Seong out of spite, but losing a leg in the explosion was already punishment enough. If anything, the killer should consider himself lucky. The letter warns him not to cause trouble again unless he wants to die and makes it clear that Ryu knows his address and personal information. Jo Seong is stunned that the explosion failed to kill his opponent and only cost him his leg. He wonders how long he was unconscious for Ryu to do all this. When he reaches into his pocket, he's horrified to find that his phone and wallet are gone. Enraged and humiliated, he starts screaming and vows to take revenge. Meanwhile, our hero sits at a restaurant with Minjuri as she happily enjoys her meal. He suggests coming there more often, but Minjuri points out that he's always busy. Our hero knows she's right. Between play-server bar meetings on weekends and regular play-place meetings, he rarely has time to relax. On top of that, he can't move freely due to the constant risk of being followed. And even now, he's fully aware that he's being watched by the level 28 assassin, Jeffrey Bishop. Christine's father, Nathan Craig, hired Jeffrey to keep an eye on Ryu. Our hero didn't notice anyone following him until he activated his presence detection and sensed Jeffrey's existence. However, he still couldn't see him, which meant Jeffrey was an assassin with an invisibility skill. At the same time, Jeffrey clearly lacked presence detection. If he had learned it, he wouldn't have been tailing Ryu so openly. The day after Min Ryu realized he was being followed, he began following Jeffrey instead. The moment Jeffrey deactivated his invisibility, Min Ryu identified him immediately. After that, he read Jeffrey's mind to learn the reason behind the surveillance. It turned out Christine had told her father about the prophet, and her father simply wanted to confirm who Min Ryu was after hearing the prophecy of his daughter's death. Jeffrey could continue following him as long as he wanted. With the assassin's mask and invisibility, Min Ryu would appear to do nothing more than commute between work and home. Juri once again asks our hero if not being tempted is really all she needs to remember. Our hero tells her that it is, because he knows she will fail if she learns the quest, and failure means death. He can't allow anyone he intends to protect to die before round 20. He needs to save as many people as possible, and asks Juri to survive until the final round. As the next round begins, the angel announces that 434 players have survived and declares that the regions will be merged again. 10 regions are combined, bringing the total player count to nearly 5,000. The angel introduces the newly merged zone and prepares to select a zone representative to manage it. Watching the selection process, our hero realizes he must secure the position again. Becoming the zone representative grants him influence in the real world as well, and this round's sub-quest reward includes the Rune of Mental Barrier. It's one of the 18 runes he needs and is essential to resisting Yamti's ability. No matter what, he must obtain both the representative reward and the Rune of Mental Barrier, and he's fully prepared to do so. The angels begin discussing who should volunteer as the zone representative. One of them mentions the game Priscilla played previously, where if her former zone's representative wins again, she becomes queen. They suggest repeating that method. Priscilla proposes the usual deathmatch selection, but another angel quickly objects. Her zone contains Black Scythe, the only human above level 50, making a deathmatch an automatic win for Priscilla's zone. Any strength-based competition is dismissed because of him. Instead, they propose choosing the representative based on who clears round 7 first, since strength won't matter there. The angel announces that the representative will be selected based on quest completion speed and proceeds to announce the round 7 quest. Everyone is stunned to see the quest information displayed as nothing but question marks. At first, players assume it's an error, but the angel clarifies that the quest for this round is hidden. She leaves, and a 2-hour countdown begins. Players grow furious at the angels for providing no information and resent being forced to search for the quest themselves. Meanwhile, our hero's former companions approach him and ask if he knows what the quest is. Our hero pretends ignorance, pointing out that the quest details are entirely obscured. Sang Cheol then offers to share information. When Black Scythe asks how he knows, Sang Cheol reveals that a seer told him. The moment Sang Cheol names his source, our hero realizes he can no longer trust him. Black Scythe feigns disbelief, but Sang Cheol insists that the prophecy has worked before and asks Seo Aaron to confirm it. When she agrees, our protagonist realizes she can't be trusted either. As Sang Cheol explains the round's information, Minjuri suddenly notices something and asks if the seer's name is Ryu Min. At that moment, 4 people learn of Min Ryu's existence and identity. While it isn't a problem if they don't connect him to Black Scythe, our hero knows he must separate them as soon as possible. Pretending not to understand the prophecy, our hero suggests splitting up to search for clues. Sang Cheol argues that staying together would be safer, but our hero counters that moving as a group would be inefficient when they don't even know if it's a party quest. Sang Cheol agrees, and the group splits up. Minjuri asks if she should split off as well and leaves after getting confirmation from Black Scythe. After everyone departs, our protagonist stands alone, thinking about the hidden quest, when he suddenly hears a scream. He rushes toward the sound and finds Minjuri lying injured on the ground. As our hero checks on Minjuri, she unexpectedly calls him by his real name. He is momentarily shocked that she knows who he truly is. Minjuri explains that she always could tell when he was hiding something and had merely pretended not to know. She admits that maintaining the facade was extremely difficult for her. Min Ryu immediately begins healing her wounds, realizing just how close she had come to dying. Once she is fully healed, Minjuri reveals that it was Sang Cheol who attacked her. Anger surges through our hero as he searches for Sang Cheol, and soon enough, Sang Cheol appears behind him. Seeing Sang Cheol address him as Seer confirms that he also knows Min Ryu's identity as Black Scythe. Sang Cheol had only learned this after torturing Minjuri for information. He adds that he was shocked to discover that someone as seemingly weak as Min Ryu could be Black Scythe. Our hero contemplates ripping his mouth off, but restrains himself long enough to demand why Sang Cheol targeted Juri first. Sang Cheol explains coldly that he did it to extract information, believing Ma would be pleased with the intelligence he obtained. However, our protagonist has no intention of letting him live. Sang Cheol threatens to detonate the bomb hidden on Minjuri if he doesn't comply. Shock deepens for Min Ryu when Sang Cheol reveals that Tai Seok had helped him plant it. At this point, the significance of the Black Seed skill becomes clear. This is a skill dark mages acquire at level 40, allowing them to bury it anywhere and summon a demon at random. The terrifying question is, what happens if it is buried on a person's body? Ryu cannot believe that his devout follower is already level 40. The Dark Mage arrogantly refuses to remove the bomb, explaining that his faith in Black Scythe was born from navigating past situations successfully, but if he sees Black Scythe as imperfect now, worship is meaningless. Realizing he has been betrayed, Ryu demands to know what they want and makes them promise that Minjuri will not be harmed if they comply. Sang Cheol bursts into laughter. Our hero assumes they are seeking information about the next round or the location of a hidden piece, but Sang Cheol clarifies that he simply hates being deceived and manipulated by the Prophet. He wants Ryu to commit suicide in front of them, promising to spare Minjuri if he obeys. Without hesitation, our hero places a knife to his throat and cuts, completing the subquest to save Minjuri. The system reveals that a side quest existed all along. Black Scythe had completed the main quest of escaping the illusion within 2 hours, and the side quest of killing himself without hesitation. He recalls that Round 7's main quest was to escape the illusion. If he had known it was an illusion, the quest would not progress. To overcome this, he used the ruler position on himself immediately upon entering the round. Once the timer starts, the system activates illusions, and awareness of them prevents completion. Therefore, he had brainwashed himself to ignore the illusion until the subquest was completed. Our protagonist had conditioned himself before the round to ensure he could save Minjuri, even if it meant sacrificing his own life. He also reinforced his emotional resolve, knowing that the illusion would exploit his anxieties, particularly the fear of betrayal by those he trusts and the revelation of his identity. By using Minjuri's presence as the emotional anchor, the system tried to tempt him into suicide. Thanks to his careful preparation, the plan succeeded flawlessly. At that moment, Seo Arin arrives after completing her own quest. She confesses her feelings, telling him she genuinely likes him, but only now has the courage to admit it. Before she can continue, Black Scythe swiftly decapitates her in the illusion, completing the main quest of escaping the temptation. As Black Scythe ends Seo Arin's illusionary hand, the quest officially concludes. The angel overseeing the round is shocked that a human has already cleared it and rushes to inform Black Scythe that he is the first to complete the illusion. A magical shield remains until the round officially ends, but he now understands that the main quest was designed to test players' ability to overcome temptation. The main quest leverages the player's personal data, creating scenarios that tempt them with worldly desires, seduction, or escape from pain. Players who hit the time limit without overcoming the temptation, or who preemptively reject it, fail. Successfully escaping the illusion ranks the player based on completion time. Black Scythe surmises that, as usual, he cleared it in roughly 1 second. Suddenly, all players return to reality. When the angel announces the quest details, everyone is stunned to learn that the subquest required them to kill the self. Their shock deepens as the stat board confirms Black Scythe as first in both his zone and all zones. The system congratulates him, granting a random gacha ticket for zone first ranking and a special reward chest for first across all zones. Priscilla becomes queen once again due to his victory, and the angels execute all players who failed the round. Black Scythe gains the zone representative position, which grants him the ruler ability he can use in real life. Additionally, having successfully resisted Yami's skills allows him to control the player community world, PCW, at will. Meanwhile, Ma wakes in reality, questioning whether what he saw was truly an illusion. He saw his brothers attempting to kill him, and wonders if it was a vision of the future. Ma realizes he must rapidly expand the company and earn his father's recognition, though he did not learn Black Scythe's nickname during the vision. The combat-free nature of the quest suggests that Ryu may have cleared it deliberately slowly. Our hero meets Minjuri again but hesitates, noticing that she seems unsettled. He asks if anything happened during round 7. Minjuri blushes, and he reassures her to forget what she witnessed. Ryu notes he wanted to see her to brief her on round 8 immediately. He intentionally allows Jeffrey to overhear this conversation, knowing it will help build Christine's trust, as the information will eventually reach her. Simultaneously, the chairman notices a new article has been published in mere minutes. His father praises Ma's younger son for successfully acquiring the player target item and notes his sharp business acumen despite his age. Unlike Ma, the chairman himself is not a player and cannot leverage such articles. Frustrated, he blames Ma and wishes he were a player capable of rivaling him. The chairman proceeds to a meeting with Yami, confirming 3 players succeeded in the murder test and instructs them to advance their plans the following day. Meanwhile, Reverend Nathan Craig advises Christine that keeping the prophet close is beneficial. Christine is surprised her father trusts Ryu so quickly after only one accurate prediction. Nathan explains that his investigation, conducted via Jeffrey, revealed Ryu is merely an ordinary person who commutes between home and work. Even Ma trusts him. At that moment, Jeffrey arrives with detailed information about round 8. He confirms that the round's difficulty will depend on the player's choices, and that experience points earned will vary accordingly. Additionally, from round 8 onward, non-player characters will begin appearing.